Let's dive right into what is honestly a fascinating evolutionary leap in Korean cosmology. Today's explainer is all about exactly how indigenous Korean philosophies responded to some pretty intense modern crises. We're going to trace a massive conceptual transformation in how the heavenly realm was viewed, moving from Donghak thought all the way to Daesun thought. Because we're dealing with some deeply profound concepts today, let's just use this quick agenda as our roadmap. We'll hit the crisis of modernity, Donghak's transcendental heaven, Daesun's divine incarnation, rebuilding the three worlds, Donghak versus Daesun, and finally, a human-centered cosmology. Okay, so this dramatic quote from the foundational texts of Daesun thought introduces the core concept we're unpacking today. It's the idea of a proactive, incarnate deity, Sangje, literally stepping down into the human world because the universe was just in total chaos. To figure out why the cosmos needed such a drastic, hands-on intervention, we really have to look at the historical context first. Section 1. The Crisis of Modernity. The crucial thing to remember here is that this wasn't just abstract armchair philosophy. This was an urgent response to an absolute existential threat. Eastern thinkers saw the influx of material-centered Western modernity, which you can often trace back to figures like Matteo Ricci in the 16th century, and they basically perceived it as a crisis of human extinction. They literally called it the annihilation of the world. This crushing weight of materialism triggered a powerful indigenous response designed to completely rethink the universe in order to save humanity. The primary goal of studying this period is to understand exactly how Korean religious thought pushed back against that immense threat. And they did it by fundamentally changing the very concept of heaven itself to create an autogenous or entirely homegrown modernity. Section 2. Donghak's Transcendental Heaven. This quote right here from the Tokyo Daihijin brilliantly illustrates Donghak's revolutionary first step. Previously, traditional Confucian ideas basically positioned humans as simple passive recipients of heaven's destiny. Donghak completely upended that. It proposed that heaven and earth communicate through yin and yang, and most importantly, it elevated humans to become direct interlocutors with heaven. You didn't just passively obey heaven anymore, you brought it directly into your heart. But as groundbreaking as Donghak was, there was a critical limitation. The transcendental heaven remained, well, transcendental. It was abstract. Because it didn't take a physical, human form, there was a major disconnect. It was incredibly difficult for humans to fully grasp, communicate with, or really understand the cosmic plan when the divine was purely spiritual. Which brings us to the next evolutionary leap, Section 3, Daesun's divine incarnation. This concept right here, Insengangse, or physical incarnation, represents a massive paradigm shift. Instead of just a spiritual emergence, the supreme deity, Sangje, actually manifests in a physical human body. And the logic is fascinating. You have to be human to truly see and fix the world from a human perspective. It moves the divine from an abstract idea into a concrete, active entity that is literally rolling up its sleeves to fix the universe. I want you to notice the architectural phrasing as we compare these two. Donghak thought aimed for a renewal-oriented transformation, essentially giving the existing system a fresh coat of paint. Daesun thought, on the other hand, is about a complete cosmic gut renovation. They call it post-Chingaebeok, which is a thorough, ground-up, structural transformation of heaven and earth. Section 4. Rebuilding the three worlds. So now that heaven has taken a physical form, what exactly is getting rebuilt? By defining the three worlds, or Samge, Daesun philosophy establishes a remarkably tight system. You have the heavenly world, the earthly world, and the human world. But they aren't isolated silos anymore. They are organically interconnected, constantly influencing each other through the active medium of the divine. Putting this into perspective against other traditions highlights just how unique it was. In Buddhism, the three worlds generally just subdivides the heavenly realm into desire, form, and formless. Taoism mentions heaven, earth, and water, but kind of lacks a specific operational systemization. Daesun thought creates a much more complex internal world where all three realms, heavenly, earthly, and human, are structured and changing simultaneously. I absolutely love the imagery in this quote because it grounds a highly abstract cosmological event into something you can essentially touch, repaired so there is no water leak. This is describing the heaven and earth work. The incarnate deity wasn't just there to inspire people. He actively re-engineered the fundamental principles of the universe so a completely new foundation could be built. Section 5. Donghak versus Daesun.
To really synthesize this incredibly complex relationship, let's put these two right next to each other and break down the key metrics of how their views of heaven evolved.
The absolute biggest takeaway here is the progression from the abstract to the concrete. Under Donghak, the expression of transcendence happens through spells and rituals, where humans try to elevate themselves, and divinity is basically a conceptual expression of yin and yang. But in Daesung thought, expression becomes direct, physical manifestation. The boundary between heaven and man vanishes, because heaven actually became a human. The concept of divinity turns into a highly structured, operational commandment system. It takes the spiritual relationship started by Donghak and fully upgrades it into a physical reality. And finally, Section 6, a human-centered cosmology.
This is the ultimate payoff of this entire philosophical journey. By having the supreme deity incarnate as a human to fix everything, Daesung thought finalized a profoundly human-centered cosmology, or anthropocentricity. Humans are no longer helpless bystanders at the mercy of the heavens. This philosophy takes the ultimate responsibility, the actual site of cosmic change, and places it squarely within the human body and mind.
So why does this matter today? Because these aren't just dusty historical debates. These were genuine, urgent blueprints for surviving modern materialism. By completely reconstructing the view of heaven, these thinkers provided a working model for true coexistence between humans, nature, and the transcendent. It's a system that steps way beyond pure nationalism to address universal human problems, and it stands completely distinct from traditional East Asian religions.
And that brings us to the end of today's explainer. It leaves us with a pretty powerful final thought. In our modern age of endless material pursuit and ecological anxiety, could repairing our conceptual view of heaven actually be the key to fixing our earthly reality? If the ultimate site of cosmic change is within us, how do we start remodeling? Thanks for diving into this fascinating evolution of thought with me, and I'll catch you on the next one.